The Asus PG27AQDM 240hz OLED Gaming monitor has finally arrived and is ready to be reviewed. Is this one of the best gaming monitors on the market today? I'll be showing a variety of scenes and PC gaming, even showcasing it a bit against the LG 27GR95QE to see that brightness difference. We'll also have a brightness test, and let's not forget that console gaming, and we'll also be covering the menu and unboxing on this review of the PG27AQDM from Asus. With the unboxing, everything came well protected and really does look premium. The styrofoam was sufficient to cover all the accessories and the monitor itself. Now this specific monitor does pack a lot more accessories than other standard monitors, as it's designed differently and it has that bottom LED lighting. But everything just snaps and twists on, and it's really hefty, it's sturdy, it's very well made. Here we have the power connection, a headphone port, 2 HDMI 2.0 ports, 1 display port, a hub USB port, and 2 regular USB ports. Right here you can see this is the button placement, where you can turn the monitor on and off, access your shortcuts, and control the monitor menu. But overall, the design language of this monitor is very gamerish, and that's a good thing. This monitor does not have a built-in fan, but it does have a custom heatsink. The actual heatsink doesn't cool the panel. It cools the electronics, the processing chips. The heatsink actually cools those things. And overall, it's going to make the monitor cooler and sustain that brightness a bit longer versus other W-OLEDs. Now with the main specifications, at 2560 by 1440, at 240Hz, with that W-OLED technology, at a 0.03 millisecond response time, with HDR, with true 10-bit color depth, at 99% of the DCI-P3 color coverage. Jumping right into the monitor menu, controlling VRR, and Game Plus, which gives you a variety of gaming options. Game Visual is actually your picture presets, and for this video I have it on racing mode, as to me it looks the best and brightest. And with Shadow Boost, kind of like shadow detail, you can increase it to see better in dark gaming, or if you need to see your enemies in those first-person shooters. Here with Image you can actually control the brightness, the uniform brightness, contrast, etc. Now I'm not going to deep dive into the uniform brightness, as if you use it, it dims the picture and it makes it worse than the LG. The whole point of this monitor, the whole point of the heatsink, is to give you that brightness advantage in every mode. But if ABL really bothers you or distracts you and you need this monitor, enable it and it will keep the brightness uniform, so you don't see that dreaded ABL. Here with color you can change the sRGB mode or the DCI-P3. Here you can change the color temperature. I had it at 6500K, as to me it looks the best and brightest from all modes. You can also change the saturation and the gamma preset. Here you see the input selection. You can change the lighting effects from the RGB, your shortcuts, and the system setup. Make sure to keep your power mode on standard so you can unlock that full brightness. And the screen protection basically is where you can control the screensaver, pixel cleaning, etc. Remember those buttons I showed you at the beginning? When you're facing the monitor, on the right side, all you gotta do is press it. A logo will come on and you'll just press it again and it shuts it off. The right button, press it twice and it turns it off. Look how beautiful this monitor is. It's bright, it's OLED technology, and looks futuristic versus other competing monitors. Now with the brightness test. On the left we have SDR and on the right HDR. You can see those brightness levels. This was tested with an SM208 display screen light meter. You can see this is brighter than the LG and very comparable to QD-OLED. You can see this is a very bright monitor. But these are specific tests. In real-world gaming, it's a little bit different. These tests that we see online should give you a baseline of what the monitor is capable of. But I love showing you the differences to help you make that awesome buying decision. And numbers don't tell the whole story, and you're going to see that today versus the LG. But that HDR performance here is a step above the LG, and we will be able to see that later on. Now on the PC with Wallpaper Engine, every single scene, every single wallpaper looks the best as it can be on this Asus OLED monitor. It's very crisp, very bright, with no hint of ABL whatsoever. And I can honestly say, this is the best W-OLED gaming monitor on the market today. It rhymes.
Yeah, boy.
Now the settings I have for the specific video and for the versus test versus the LG. On the Asus I have it on the racing preset. As to me, it's the brightest and most vivid of all modes, meaning there's much more impact. Also with the color tone, it's at D6500K, and that's something to note, friends, because the LG, at its brightest modes, can't offer that setting. So throughout this whole video, the Asus will always look warmer, kind of like your TVs. You know how when you set it to warm 1 or warm 2? This is what the Asus offers, while the LG does not. As on the LG, on the Vivid preset, it pushes blue, it pushes purple. There is no way to change the color tone. On Gamer 2 you can, but it still doesn't look as nice as the Asus. Just showcasing more of these scenes, from pixel art to CGI, everything looks outstanding on this monitor. Look at that city skyline. That is crazy, super bright, super vibrant. That saturation really does look good even on W-OLED. I really like this pixel art image because it's so crystal clear, even here on this 27-inch at 1440p. None of my other IPS or VA monitors look this good. Now with Spiderman on the PC. This is actually my first time seeing this versus the PlayStation 5. If you want this for your PC gaming, because that's what I would say, this is more of a gaming monitor, hence that gamerish design, you will not be disappointed. Of course, if you get a great panel, and don't suffer too much on that quality control. Like I've said, no manufacturer is immune to that. But Spiderman looks awesome. Now connecting to consoles. Here we're going to do that PlayStation 5 VRR 1440p SDR and HDR test. Yes friends, in flying colors, it passes all of them. No issues whatsoever. It also accepts a 4K 60Hz signal, so that's good to know for your media streaming devices. Here we're going to compare it versus the LG 27GR95QE. Now the main reason why I got this specific monitor is I wanted the best W-OLED monitor on the market today. I wanted that brightness increase. Now in this specific section, I am showcasing here Gamer 2 versus Vivid on the LG, while again on the Asus it's on the racing preset. At that D6500K, you can see that color tone on the Asus looks a lot more nicer. Closer to warm 1, warm 2. While the LG is trying to push as much brightness as possible, but it still introduces some kind of bluish look. Now here I'm going to be showing a variety of scenes. You can see on Gamer 2, the LG looks just as bright. Not quite though, but it's close to the Asus. So what I'm saying here is that the custom heatsink on the Asus is not destroying the LG. I gotta show you the differences to help you make that awesome buying decision. If you have an LG monitor, the Asus does not destroy it, but it is the best W-OLED gaming monitor on the market today. So if you want the best, the Asus is it. And that's the thing, with the LG, it's one of the pickiest monitors I have ever used. Sometimes you can't decide what's better, Gamer 2 or Vivid. Now if you don't want that purplish bluish look, forget about Vivid and just keep it on Gamer 2. As you can see here with Ryu, the LG looks just as good as the Asus. And sometimes our eyes plays tricks on us and it looks a little bit better. And I'm talking about that brightness impact. But no. The Asus always comes out on top. Look at the boxing gloves. It looks more natural on the Asus versus the LG. Again, I'm trying to show you that brightness difference. We can tweak these monitors for that specific look, but by doing so, you will diminish the brightness power of the LG, then it's more drastic. I'm trying to show you how close we can get both monitors to the same brightness, meaning both are at 100, but still, that D6500K on the Asus is the winner and makes everything look much more natural and brighter than the LG. Look at the Street Fighter V logo. It looks nicer on the Asus, while the LG is rivaling it in brightness. It's really tough, friends. I was expecting a night and day difference with that custom heatsink. That's not the case. It is an improvement, but it's not night and day. But that color though, I mean if I'm looking at both of these monitors, I will always prefer to play it on the Asus. I just think on a day-to-day basis, you would notice it if you had them side by side that the Asus is a lot nicer to look at versus the LG. I will have more brightness and ABL tests versus these two monitors. So hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss out on that video when it's released. But this is what I've been able to observe in certain games and applications. I will be doing an ABL Street Fighter test to see if the ABL still kicks in on the Asus, as we know how drastic it gets on the LG. So this is not the whole story, but I just wanted to show you. Overall, I would prefer the Asus, but by no means is it destroying the LG in any way. In HDR mode, this is where things get interesting. Yes, the Asus is better in HDR versus the LG. Look at the window highlights on both screens. It's easily seen on the Asus. It looks way better, more impactful, more fun. From explosions to the overall city, HDR just looks better on the Asus. As with this brightness meter, the LG hovers around 700 nits on a small peak highlight, while the Asus hovers at 900 plus. That's a drastic difference, and everything just pops on screen. That brightness difference on the Asus is really apparent in HDR mode, while not so much in SDR. But still, from the LG or the Asus, overall I'd pick the Asus. It looks cooler, more gamerish, brighter. It truly fits the bill, that next-gen monitor. But there's 2 to 3 things I did want to point out before we end the video. The LG features an HDMI 2.1 port, while this Asus, which many of you know and do not like, feature an HDMI 2.0. At these prices, it should have included a 2.1 port. Now onto the quality control. My specific monitor, which the LG does not exhibit any issues, has 2 problems. When connecting the PC or the Xbox, I was getting a lot of flickering. And trying different cables, it wouldn't help. I would still get that flickering. It was an unusable monitor, it had to go back. But I figured out something, and after talking to Asus customer support, it seems like my monitor's power connection is faulty. Not the power adapter, but the actual port on the monitor itself. That cannot be fixed through firmware, and has to be returned. These are situations, friends, that happen on any monitor. And I really don't talk about quality control that much, but this is something that's very expensive and that it makes the monitor unusable, as every time I turned on the monitor to play on Xbox, to play on the PC, I would get this flickering. So I would have to disconnect the monitor and then reconnect it. That's a hassle. And it's unacceptable keeping a monitor in that condition. So unfortunately, I have to send it back. So if that's happening to you, return yours and exchange it. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, friends. These are expensive. And in case it happens to you, at least you heard it here, you're not alone, and that's the root of what that flickering problem is. But even with those problems, this is still the brightest and best W-OLED monitor on the market today. Until we get a 27-inch or 32-inch 4K W-OLED monitor, this is it. But at $999, we do have a problem. The LG 27GR95QE came out in January of 2023 at $999, even with a freebie, that Ultragear gamepad. But the Asus, for whatever reason, it's been on back order for so long, being released in February-March and not arriving to my doorstep until late June. That's kind of an issue, because we have a lot of monitors coming out in the near future. QD-OLED, better W-OLEDs. Is it worth still $999? Not with these problems that I've noted, but forget about that. Is it still worth it? That decision is really up to you, friends. I love this technology, I love showcasing it. If you have the LG already, don't buy the Asus. Wait a bit, maybe get a 4K version of the OLED technology. Or just wait for QD-OLED. But if you don't have anything and you just want the best W-OLED panel on the market today at 27 inches, and Asus gives you a great panel, this is it. This is the best W-OLED monitor on the market today. And I hope you were able to see that. With that brightness test, with that color, with that crisp of the picture that no other monitor with mini LED technology can compare and compete against this awesome Asus. Please hit that like button so more people can see it to help to make that awesome buying decision. Consider subscribing if you want more information on this awesome W-OLED technology and QD-OLED. The future is looking very bright for all these monitors, and any monitor you decide to get will make you very happy at the end of the day. Thanks for watching, friends. Stay safe out there. I'll see you guys next time.